We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Welcome in. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of the streets of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend with your phone calls and your comments in the PATC chat room. Welcome in. Buckle up. Brace for impact. We have a big show, and I'm just going to lead it off with an apology. The monologue is going to get a little long. The monologue is going to get a little long, and I want to get to your comments. I want to get to your phone calls. But unfortunately, you're all going to have to listen to this thick Minnesota accent for a while because I got a lot to talk about. This is one of those shows. We have those shows at PATC. For those who are new to our show, you've missed a lot, but I'm glad you joined us. Today is October 9th, and it's going to be one of those shows that I believe in the future, I'm going to remember this date. I'm going to remind you of this date. Look, we've had plenty of those shows. October 30th, 2022, I came on live I talked about how Yormark just struck the deal and the Pac-12 was in trouble. Where other people were saying Yormark left money on the table. We said he hit a grand slam. History's going to be kind to us when we said that, right? On February 24th, 2023, we finally set the odds that now it was favored that the Big 12 was actually going to poke from the Pac-12. At least one school was going to go from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. We set the odds. Finally, the Big 12 was favored, and we did not move. The odds moved, but we did not make the Pac-12 to stay as they were, as the favorite for the next 5 months. December 26, 2022, Florida State Money Perch told us, we told you, we had to stand down on most of the story at that time, but he said on that live show, when we had that live show, December 26, 2022, we said what? That in the next couple months, the Florida State Money Perch was telling us that Florida State was going to make it public about their concerns with the ACC, and they were going to threaten to leave the conference eventually. We're still thinking it's going to be the first quarter of 2024 when they make their intentions official in public. We've had a lot of dates. Heck, I could go back to March 31st, 2022. Didn't have a YouTube channel, but you know what happened on March 31st, 2022. On our Twitter account for the next 3 months, Los Angeles Times covered it. Go back to our episode 22. You can relive the whole thing as we go through everything. We documented everything. October 9th, I told the wife, the little journal who's in the chat, I am not feeling good today. I don't know. I haven't felt good. I think it's a change of season or something, hopefully. But I had to go on tonight. And what I'm hinting at isn't really even about Gonzaga. It's not really about even Gonzaga or the Pac-12. It's about the ACC. And I can't even give you the story tonight. I can't. I can give you a wink, a hint, a nod. That's what I'm going to do. Because we're going to come back to October 9th. We're going to come back tonight in the next couple weeks and months ahead. To that wink and a nod. I am going to push the envelope as far as I can push it. And not an inch more. Because there are other people who know what I am hinting and nodding at. And I cannot harvest the field over and over and over again if I go over the line. You remember another date, right? Another date. 2023, we talked about the hot bubble of action, April 28th to October 17th. I could not give you the May 7th date at that time. Right? I could not give you the meeting in Chicago on May 7th. On May 8th, I described a shot to the solar plexus, to the Pac-12. I did it live. I knew what was going on, but I couldn't give you the whole story at that time. But I gave, hopefully, PATC community enough to go by, and hopefully in an entertaining fashion. No, there's a lot of dates with a lot of live shows that we can go back to. We remember those dates. I memorized those dates. October 9th is another one of those shows that we're going to have tonight. But it's going to be a small segment of it. It's going to go just like a bam. It's going to be done. And it's very important. And again, you're going to get frustrated with me. You're going to get angry with me. You can say, Greg, come on. This is your show. You can do it. No, I can't. But I'm going to give you a wink, a hint, and a nod. The ACC drama The Holy Smokes Theater. We're in Act 3. A person's going to run into the theater. He's going to have a mask on, and he's going to be carrying something in his hands very carefully. We'll get to that. We will get to that. So just hang on. Hang on. Now, woo! And by the way, when I give you this hint and a nod, and it's just going to be a little bit, it's the same hint and nod, not quite the same storyline, but the same hint and nod that I gave in 2015, 8 years ago, about something different. But BTM, we were the first ones to have it. We broke the story. We can't quite go that far tonight, but I think you're going to be able to pick up what I'm laying down. Okay, first of all, let's get to, we got so much to get to. Well, let's get to the Gonzaga story. Gonzaga. Now, we went through it in an episode 313 earlier today. If you haven't watched the video, please go back later tonight and watch the whole video. No, Daniel, thanks for coming on in. It's not about Big 12 wrestling. Not about Big 12 wrestling. Although BTM nailed that as well. All these little stories that we were nailed before we even got to the bigger stories. Yeah. Not that one, Danielle, but close. Now, let me do the right thing here and let me thank everybody that's come on in tonight to this very important show. Our web, holy smokes. Thanks for coming on in, Randy Taylor. Let's do this thing, Tim Bells, Stephen McNeely, Lou, long time no see. Michigan State Fleck, I don't think that smoke is real. We shall see. Let's give it a little bit more time. I doubt it. Ted Evans, we are live. The little general, the moderator, the one who rules with an iron fist is in the house. Cornelius Green, praise the Lord. Greg, praise to you, sir. David Hackett, Greg, expect Gonzaga to join by 2024-25. Questions. Who will be number 18? We're going to get to that. Immaculate. Strap yourself in, Mr. Hawkeye. Flug is on fire. Yeah, it's one of those shows. Hey, Mac, preach it, Greg. Appreciate it. Daniel Monacasso, I'm on the day shift now. I haven't been able to watch the late live shows recently. But Mr. Hoosier is here. Laura White's Texas Tech Red Raider is in the house. Moen Sports. This is one of those shows. Tater Tots is in the house. Bearcat Steve. Greg, gonna be keeping this old man up late again. Sorry, Steve. I'm sorry about that, man. Look, if it wasn't, I got a little bit of a go-ahead to push the envelope. And that's why I had a pop on. I got chills right now. Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm a little bit under the weather. But the wife, Mireya, knew I had to do this show. It's just the way it is. Flugar, PATC, thank you so much, my friend. Mr. Brown is in the house. Randy Taylor, yes. Nick Kelso, wink away, Greg. Opie, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Nick Kelso, appreciate it. I will. We're not going to so much reset the stage tonight. Florida State is on the center of the stage. Clemson is on the side of the stage. North Carolina's in the 5th row. 6th row is Tony Petiti and sitting there with NBC and the rest of the Magnificent Seven are in row 10, 15. Something gets delivered into the theater tonight. And it gets placed in a certain spot in the theater tonight. And that's the story. Which I'm not going to be able to push more than that. But I'm going to give you a wink and a nod. A wink and a nod. Big Ten Ted is in the house. Thank you, Big Ten Ted, for letting me appear on your show a week ago. It was a lot of fun. I know I get all fired up and I cause a ruckus on your show. But thank you so much, my good friend. I appreciate it. P.S. Nitwick is in the house. Everybody's in the house. J.D. Turtle, we are with you, Greg. Okay, we got to get to it, guys. We got to get to it, guys and gals. Gonzaga. Look, we just checked on this a while ago. There was no talks. So we were caught surprised here. Peek around the corner. We were told Big 12 has no interest in Oregon State, Washington State. We were told that things went pear-shaped again with Gonzaga because Gonzaga wanted all sports. To have all their sports join the Big 12. We talked about that months and months and months ago. Remember when Gonzaga left the theater in the car, drove away? It had to do with this issue, and we talked about it specifically. Yormark was only interested in the basketball piece. Gonzaga wanted to come in at all sports. Then in July, before it all broke up, before Colorado made it official on July 27th, 2023, that they were joining the Big 12, we remember we had a live show. Gonzaga and UConn were taken behind the curtain, behind the stage, because talks had heated up between Yormark and those two universities for a basketball edition. We nailed that story. Now, Gonzaga, Big 12 talks. We had an episode. I was alerted to this story early in the morning. I did the episode before people were even waking up. I released the episode before even people were waking up. And then we got to confirm that the talks are real. Other people confirmed the story as the day went on. From Seth Davis, from The Messenger. The key part of this story, the key part of this Gonzaga story is right here. School joining the conference in all sports, perhaps as early as next year. So, the Big 12, they blinked. Nothing wrong with blinking. If the economics work, if you can get everybody on board, remember, Brett Yormark has collected a whole lot of political capital within his conference. He pushed for UConn. If things went pear-shaped when he was trying to get the Four Corner schools, it did not go pear-shaped. Brett Yormark hit a grand slam. Brett Yormark pushed for the addition of Gonzaga because he believes in the decoupling of the content of basketball and football for their next media rights negotiations. I know you know all of this. But there is a change here. The Big 12 looks like they are considering seriously adding Gonzaga, not just for the men's basketball, but for the baseball and other sports, 6 other sports for Gonzaga. That is big. That is big. And it also tells me, first of all, this is great news for Gonzaga. But this also tells me, we've talked about this before, Brett Yormark not just is interested in increasing the value of the basketball content in the Big 12. Let's take a look at Dennis Dodd real quick here. Dennis Dodd put up a tweet when this story was breaking. Gonzaga is a surprising 5th on metric called TV power per its consultant. per its consultant. It sits behind Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, but ahead of the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, the Spartans, the Hogs, the Volunteers, which rounded out the top 10. In basketball, Gonzaga's brand is huge. And Gonzaga doesn't want to fall behind in the exposure race. They want to stay with Fox Sports for basketball. They do not know if Big East, a potential option for Gonzaga, if the Big East, wherever, will be able to keep the Fox Sports media contract in the next couple years. Gonzaga is looking for big brand, playing other big brands on the highest exposure level that you could possibly get. And the Big 12, Yormark, is looking at a couple things. Not only is Brett Yormark looking at the value of Gonzaga, which Dennis Dodd just put it out there in a tweet, but you cannot decouple. You cannot decouple the Big 12 from the so-called Power 2. If Brett Yormark gathers in this monster of a basketball conference, I don't believe in the Power 2. I believe in the Power 2 as far as heavier influence, more chips on the table, SEC in the Big Ten, more money. I get that. But a Power 2 where they cut off access to potential playoffs in the biggest sports years down the road, I don't believe that at all. And Brett Yormark is hammering the nails into that coffin as we speak. You cannot decouple yourself away from the Big 12 if you're the SEC and the Big Ten when Brett Yormark is sitting on a monster of a conference that is called the Big 12, and Gonzaga is just another piece. And if it takes Brett Yormark to have to grab those other sports in the Gonzaga to reel them in, he's willing to present that to the Big 12 presidents. He's willing to give them all the data. And you know this. You know this. If anybody knows this, it's the PATC community. You know that Fox Sports wants Gonzaga. Doesn't mean that Fox Sports wants Gonzaga in the Big 12. It doesn't mean they're going to get it. Doesn't mean automatically they're going to get it. There's a give and a take. There's the presidents of the conference, there's the media partner, and of course there's Gonzaga themselves. But Fox Sports want them. We talked about it. It was this show that said Fox Sports wants Oregon and Washington. And it's going to happen 5 months or 5 years from now, and it happened within those 5 months or 6 months or 7 months. We kept saying Oregon and Washington are wanted by Fox Sports in the Big Ten. Period. End of story. And I don't care what charts say what about Oregon and their whatever. Same thing with Gonzaga, Fox Sports, and the Big 12. Big story. Big, massive story. And then when you get into who's number 18, there doesn't have to be a number 18, but man, it makes everything a whole lot easier. You know this, I know this, the scheduling, the whole playoff, the conference playoffs, the basketball conference tournament. And then you got to believe that 18, if they do go to 18, would be somebody in the East, right? Brett Yormark. Doubt if he can get UConn unless they brought in UConn for all those sports. But this, Brett Yormark, when we talk about realignment, when we talk about the rules of realignment, first of all, realignment never sleeps, right? Second of all, the school contacts the conference first, not the conference contacts the school first. And another big rule of realignment is relationships matter. Personal relationships matter. And Brett Yormark's relationships with the Big 12 presidents could not be any tighter. Kevin Warren's relationship with the Big Ten presidents couldn't be any worse. And the Oregon-Washington talks and all that had to stop. We talked about a peek around the corner. Kevin Warren was the number one hurdle. He left the door. Things got opened up. Brett Yormark is tight with the Big 12 presidents. And he has collected a whole lot of capital, a whole lot of IOUs. And I got a feeling Big 12 presidents are going to give him a wink and a nod. They already have. They've already given him the door to keep pursuing the talks with Gonzaga. Brett Yormark is not doing this as a rebel. He's doing this as a visionary. He's leading the presidents, but the presidents have his back. Completely different than Kevin Warren and other commissioners. So, we'll get to your comments. We'll get to your on Gonzaga. I got a lot more to cover. And I did an episode on this story, episode 313. Catch it later on tonight. We did it early this morning. Let me get to a couple of super chats. Then we're going to get to the Pac-12 internal battle, which is an unbelievable, massive story on an epic scale. And then I'm going to get to the ACC. A masked man ran into the theater carrying something, and he's going to drop it off somewhere. What is it, and where is it being dropped off? We'll get to that. West Virginia and Oklahoma in the Big 12 Championship. Book it! The Mountaineers are surprising everybody. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all your contributions, sending me the information on Twitter. Thank you so much, West Virginia guy. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. Appreciate it very much. Our web. Watch Big East meeting negotiations 2025 TikTok. Yes, sir. Thank you, our web, for your super chat. I appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. And if you want to make a donation to help us keep the lights on, we don't do memberships. We don't do this other stuff. We don't do Patreon. We do just by donations. If you want to help us keep the lights on, hit the $sign. We'll get to your comment as soon as possible. Let's get to the Pac-12 story. Pac-2 story. I don't know what you want to call it, to be honest with you. I don't know what you want to call it. That's the wrong story. I'm sorry. That's the wrong story. Pac-12 legal affairs. With key court date looming, parties agree to mediation. Washington State, Oregon State, and the Outbound 10 have agreed to mediation. Mediation. This is from the Mercury News. John Wilner. The Pac-12's 2 remaining schools and the 10 departing universities have agreed to mediation and attempt to settle their dispute over governance of the conference, according to a source with knowledge of the situation. We're not going to go through the whole article here. Just going to give it a little bit so you all have a flavor of what's going on. The talks have been productive, the source said. Everybody wants them to succeed. It just has to be on fair terms to everybody. Them, of course, is Washington State and Oregon State. The schools left behind in the realignment game that decimated the conference in early August. A preliminary injunction hearing to determine the makeup of the board is scheduled for November 14th in Whitman County, Washington, Superior Court. The various legal steps prior to that point include an expedited discovery process, which could lead to sensitive information becoming public. Nobody wants that sensitive information becoming public. We have a mediation. I think we're going to get to some agreement. I believe Washington and Oregon State are going to get a whole lot of assets, but not all of the Pac-12 assets. And is it going to be enough for them to get a reverse merger with the Mountain West schools coming on board? I think that's highly likely. Back to the article. It's not unusual for mediation to unfold alongside litigation. However, the willingness to engage a mediator hardly guarantees the sides will reach an agreement. True, especially given the early stage of the legal process. True. A trial, if it gets to a trial, could likely be months away. We'll see if the two sides can figure out a path and avoid a trial, the source said. The conference office declined to comment. The Cougars and the Beavers have several options once the 108-year-old conference fractures next summer. They have options. They have several options. But if this goes to trial, it could be months and months and months away. And man, that is going to put a whole lot of pressure on the ability for the Mountain West and the Washington State and Oregon State to work together to do a reverse merger, or for those two schools to go in the Mountain West. Man, that's why, look, everybody wants to get this done. I believe that. And I believe we're going to see some sort of compromise. Back to the article, they could join the Mountain West in a traditional expansion move. They could execute a reverse merger in which the Mountain West schools dissolve their league and compete under the Pac-12 banner, which I just explained. They could make use of an obscure NCAA rule and compete as a two-team conference in the 24-25 season, which I don't think is going to happen. And then either join the Mountain West or execute the reverse merger. The 10 outbound schools are concerned about the use of the Pac-12's financial assets, which include more than $60 million in NCAA tournament revenue. That's just one portion of the assets. If the Beavers and the Cougars are deemed to be sole members of the governing board, the source said, they could keep the Pac-12 alive for up to 24 months and then pocket all the assets, shutter the conference, and join the Mountain West. And finally, at the end of this article, but the Pac-10 and the Pac-2 have very different interpretations of what constitutes fair. Can mediation work? Like everything else about this legal dispute, resolution could be weeks and months away. And finally, look, Nicole Auerbach, 2 hours ago, from The Athletic, Washington pushes to dismiss Washington State and Oregon State's lawsuit versus the Pac-12. The University of Washington and the other 9 outgoing members of the Pac-12 have struck back at Oregon State and Washington State in a series of briefs and motions filed on Monday, today, and obtained by The Athletic. Here's what you need to know. Buckle up, PATC community. On Monday, Washington filed a motion to intervene in the litigation between Washington State and Oregon State and the Pac-12 Conference, arguing that it is involved in the lawsuit, but its interests are not adequately represented by any existing party. Very good point. Very good point by Washington, in my opinion. If granted, Washington then would ask Whitman County Superior Court to grant a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. The 9 outgoing Pac-12 schools filed a brief to support Washington and support its motion to dismiss. They also said they've entered into a mediation process with Washington State, Oregon State that is currently ongoing and scheduled through October. There is a lot going on, and where it all ends up, nobody knows. But I got a feeling that nobody wants this thing to go to trial. First of all, the calendar doesn't work for all these schools involved, especially Washington State and Oregon State, but all the schools involved. And the other thing is you do not want to open up discovery. There's going to be sensitive information going back and forth between the schools when they were allies trying to keep the conference together, when the conference was breaking up. You do not want that to be in public. I believe we're going to get a settlement. I believe. Am I naive? Let me know in the comments. Let me know with your phone calls. But I got to believe Washington State and Oregon State When it comes to the assets of the Pac-12, all of it, they're going to get more than their share in this settlement. If not, then we're going to trial. But they're going to get more than their share. That is what I believe is going to happen. Let me know what you believe is going to happen. But this story, man, stick with it, stay with it. It's ongoing. And the ripple effects of the story is massive for the Mountain West schools. For the Mountain West schools, this is massive. They want Washington State and Oregon State to win this battle as much as they possibly can. For the other schools, they don't want to lose out on all that money as they enter into the new conferences. Washington and Oregon, they don't want to lose all those assets. They want to be able to maintain their voting rights all the way up to July 1st, 2024. Again, put your comments down in the chat room. Give me a phone call later in the show, and I'm going to get to your comments. I do apologize. I've only gotten to those with the super chat. And that's going to continue on for a while on this show. If you want me to read your comment, give me a super chat. We've got to get to the ACC story. Even though it's a short one, even though it's only a wink and a nod, this has to be recorded. This has to be put down. Okay? This is college football's peek around the corner. That's what this show is. It's not for everybody. I'm going to give you a peek. I can't give you the whole raising of the curtain. It's going to be some frustration on your part. I understand that. I hope I don't lose your subscription. I hope I don't lose your follow. I hope you follow this show, watch this show, have fun with this show. But I had two choices. Give you nothing or give you a little. And I decided to give a little. And other times when we've given a little, it has... And I believe this is one of those times on October 9th. Tony, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it. Greg, did you see Notre Dame hockey has an exclusive agreement with Peacock to air all their home games? Is this fuel for conspiracy theories? Thank you, Tony. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. I appreciate it very much. It's very, very odd that you put up this comment right now. It's one of those things that in the PATC community. Now, my wink and a nod is not about Notre Dame directly. It isn't. But you're going to see in a very small time the sheer oddity of you putting up this comment right now, because what I'm about to show you. No, that's not a great conspiracy. That's how it's been. Notre Dame has had, when Notre Dame men hockey came into the Big Ten Conference, that was part of this settled agreement that they were going to be able to play their home games on Peacock. It didn't have to go on the Bally's or Big Ten Network. That remains. That's fine. That doesn't do anything to the story going forward, to answer the question. Now, for folks that don't realize Notre Dame is part of the Big Ten, men's hockey, yeah. It's just so odd that you guys are bringing this up. Now we're going to get into it. One of the stories that we broke well before the USC story March 31st, 2022. There was a whole bunch of stories that we broke on Twitter and Minnesota 247. People started following us. New reporters started following us. I started giving information to certain 247 sites. But one of the early days that built up this momentum, that we were very fortunate to deliver information. One of the early stories was in regards to Notre Dame. Let me show you. On November 18th, 2015, it's very difficult to imagine, but according to source, Delaney is again going down the Notre Dame rabbit hole to try to bring Notre Dame hockey to the Big Ten. Now, as you can see, I still use the same language, rabbit hole. I mean, this is what is that? 7.5 years ago. 7.5 years ago. It's very difficult to imagine, but according to the source, Delaney is again going down the Notre Dame rabbit hole to try to bring Notre Dame to the Big Ten. Of course, the source was BTM and his associates. Now, go and Google this. Google it. Google November 2015. Google December. Google October. Google anything you want with this. There was nobody talking about Notre Dame to the Big Ten. When I sent this tweet out, I got questioned left and right by the North Dakota hockey announcer at the time. And him and I have had skirmishes since then. But I will not go down that rabbit hole tonight. But go ahead and Google it. Nobody had this. Nobody had this. No one was even thinking of this. But we got information, and we got it from more than one source. The second source that we got it from is a person that eventually, someday down the road, as crazy as this sounds, I'll be able to tell you who it is. Not BTM, not his associates, but somebody else that's real close to me. And I've talked about this on Minnesota 247. Again, not going to go there tonight, but this was something that we had. Now, I did not have a YouTube channel. I wasn't breaking stuff on 247 sites yet, but people understood. Whatever. Now, what happened was, this was November 18th, 2015. March 23rd, 2016. Great news for Big Ten hockey. Notre Dame makes the Big Ten a stronger conference. Welcome. Welcome to the Big Ten, Notre Dame. Don Lucia was the head coach of the Minnesota Gophers at that time. By the way, we were the ones who break the news that Lucia was getting let go. We were the ones who broke the news that Bob Moscow was getting hired. We did all that in Minnesota 247 before any local Minnesota reporters had it. We had this story so nailed down, and I'm telling you this not to say, I don't need a pat on the back. I'm just telling you that we have people in position still today, still BTM and his associates, still this other person I'm talking about, who would know things are going on in this hockey space. You all get it? You all get it? So, my little wink and a nod to you is that this masked man has run into the Holy Smokes Theater during Act 3 of the ACC drama, has run down the aisle, taken a sharp right down row 6, and has dropped off 2 skates at the feet of Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. And that's your wink and a nod. And we're going to be coming back to the story. And we're going to be coming back to the story on October 9th, this wink and a nod. And it isn't, we do not have this, this isn't something that's, we have the story. Whether or not Tony Petitti accepts it, whether or not he sees the vision, whether or not those 2 skates that land by his feet are going to get up in a new ice hockey Division I arena starting 6-7 years from now, I can't foretell that future. But I know the skates have been laid at the feet of Tony Petitti. And I know there's people watching this show right now who know that I know that they know that I know. And for those who believe that Greg Pflugar is some Big Ten mouthpiece, how do I put it? When the cloak and dagger and the cloak is revealed by PATC, we don't get flowers sent to us. I hope that explains what I'm trying to say. Not a mouthpiece. Not even close to a mouthpiece. When we did this here, when we did that, yeah, I'm sorry, but we had people questioning us outside of the Big Ten Conference, North Dakota announcer, but also inside the Big Ten Conference. We don't get flowers sent to us. We do not go to media, what do you call them? Media gatherings when they go with the conferences. We don't get invited to cocktail parties. So that is it. That is it. So I'm going to get to your comments right now. And by the way, for those interested, myself, Craig the Cooler, went 2-6 against the spread last week. PATC community went 2-6 against the spread last week. I'm 20-24-2. PATC community is 18-26-2. You're only 2 games behind me. And yes, I am Greg the Cooler. And it's never going to change, it looks like. Okay. All right. Now, get to your comments real quick. And I won't be able to confirm or deny anything in regards to the ACC. I will not be able to confirm or deny any of the wink and the nod when it comes to the ACC and the hockey skates. That was the NCHA. But I get what you mean, Daniel. Yeah, we called it. Well, we didn't call it. We had information. Whatever. Oregon hockey coming to the D1? Don't know. Don't know. That hasn't been announced. They were looking at it. Do they need to do it? Do they feel they need to do it? Do they want to do it? But the Oregon Money Perch have talked about it. No question about that. And they've talked about it. The only thing I can say is we don't know at this time. Wasn't UNC looking at a hockey program? I believe there was something. There was a public article. I want to say, yes, it's out there. There's a public article out there talking about them looking at a D1 program. So NBC is the guy with the mask and the skates represent Notre Dame? No. NBC is sitting next to Tony Petitti. And the man with the skates doesn't that delivered the skates is not Notre Dame. No. I can say that. This is not a Notre Dame this is not a Notre Dame story. Now, I don't want to confuse people, and maybe I have. I brought up I brought up this here when we got told that Delaney and Notre Dame were talking on November 18th, and then on a few months later it happened. This is not Notre Dame's story. This is somebody else, but it's in the ACC drama. A masked man ran in, dropped off a pair of skates to Tony Petitti. And we'll get more into the story as the weeks and months go on. And I want to make it clear, there's no way I can go farther than what I just said. And I know you're mad at me. You're frustrated. Many of you are, but it's the same thing with the hot bubble of action with the May 7th. I said April 28th to May 17th. We knew that meeting wasn't going to take place on April 29th and 30th between Colorado and the Big 12. We knew it wasn't going to be taking place the week after May 17th because people were celebrating their children's graduation from a school in the Big 10, Indiana. I cannot go any farther than what I just said. And, we're going to see how this story plays out. We're going to see how this plays out. How much effect does this two skates being placed by Tony Petitti's foot? How internally, whoever dropped those two skates off, how are they going to handle this internal push to have two skates dropped off at Tony Petitti's feet? There's a whole bunch of layers to this story, but we'll get to it in the days and weeks ahead. It's real. And it's real. And how it explodes, how it blossoms. We'll get to it. Holy smokes. Opie, this is for the new PATC ACC drone fund, so we can get a view from up above as well. Thank you, Opie, man. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your incredible generosity, your continued generosity to this channel. Your generosity and others help us do this show because we don't do anything else. We don't do memberships. I want everybody to come in. Sometimes I have to limit my comments to the super chat talks. I don't try to, but thank you so much. I mean, wow. Thank you, Opie. I appreciate it. Again, we talked about how this was going to be a long, dramatic story. We are at Act 3. This isn't... We have been told now, we poke and prod continually. We've been told that the Florida State piece, Opie, that you're interested, really it's a first quarter 2024, and maybe we're wrong, and I will admit to it, and I'll take the big fat L, but that's what we were told on December 26, 2022. There's reasons for having this play out to the first quarter 2024. Now, could it happen in October? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you've heard all the rumors. You've heard all the speculation. We've talked about it. But we can't confirm it. I have not been able to confirm it. This October thing. This month. Tomorrow. Or October 11th. I can't confirm it. It's not by a lack of trying. The first quarter of 2024, if it's going to pop, just brace for impact, OP. Brace for impact. That's all I got to say. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. Open. OP, thank you very much. Yes, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, we just got the new camera in. I look better than ever, right? No, I don't. I look worse than ever because this is a little bit better camera. But we had to do it. We had to do it. I appreciate it, Opie. Appreciate it so very much. You know what? I'm going to try Anthony Carlson. Miami also has a club hockey team. Dave Chauncey saying Virginia, North Carolina would be the guess. McNeely saying UNC. 2 skates equal 2 schools? Great question, Daniel. Great question. No, not in this case. Not in this case. Can we get girls Rolly Derby? Ron Lowney. Rumor, Moen Vision was arrested for flying a drone over the Ohio State game. Oh my God! Woo! Praise for impact. Okay, let's get to your phone calls because you can talk about next week's games, which we haven't done so. We're going to get that. We're going to get to it later in the week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, you can call up about the Pac-12 internal battle. Where do you think that's going to end up? Do you think Oregon State and Washington State going to get most of the assets or just the same share as the other 10 schools? And what do you think about Gonzaga? What do you think is going to happen? Are they going to be able to come in to the Big 12 with all their sports or most of their sports? Right? Are they going to be able to do that? And if so, does the Big 12 go for an 18th basketball school in their enormous, tremendous, valuable basketball conference? So give us a call. We're going to open up the phone lines right now. And yes, you can talk about the ACC drama. You can talk about the ACC drama and the pair of skates. Let me open it up. It is open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Talk about anything you want to talk about. Thank you, Matthew Carlson. Go Blue. Keeping the jug. Congratulations, Matthew. Congratulations. Now, I really don't know what the score was at the end of the game. What happened was, if you were watching, there was an earthquake. There was an earthquake that happened. And there was a hole that formed right by my chair in the studio. And the scoreboard, the chalkboard, fell into the hole. So I lost the ability to keep track of what the score was, and I really don't even know what happened at the end of that game, to be honest with you. It's all a fog. It's a memory that has been lost in the memory hole, just like when the scoreboard went into the hole by the earthquake that was created. Monty says Gonzaga won't cost the other Big 12 conferences a dime. I don't know that. By the way, Matthew Carlson, thank you. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it so very much. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not sure the Big 12 knows. I think that's part of the negotiations with Fox Sports, with themselves, how it could be worked. Adding all those sports. What we do know, AAR, what we do know is this is not a basketball-only edition. That Gonzaga is approaching this. It looks like Big 12 blinked, and Gonzaga is trying to get all their sports into the conference. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal for Gonzaga, for their entire athletic department. They're going to be giving up money. They're going to be giving up some NCAA tourney credits if they join the Big 12 for next year. They're going to give some of that up to the WCC. We know that. To actually have it confirmed that the addition of Gonzaga will not cost the Big 12 a dime with their addition. I don't know how Monty could come up with that, but maybe he's got somebody telling him that. I do not have that information. I do not have that information. Does Gonzaga, Zags have a partner? Another great question. By AAR, I do not know, but my goodness. I'll get to that, AAR. I don't know the question. I don't know the answer to that question either. It would be somebody in the East.
Call from.
I'm sorry, I did not get the name. The floor is yours.
It's Immaculate.
Immaculate, thanks for calling, Mr. Hot Guy. Big day in college football, college basketball, and the college sports landscape. Wow. Unbelievable. What do you got to say, sir?
That's a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm. You got all the time you need. The floor is yours. And I will not try to interrupt you for the 100th time in a row, sir.
Well, interrupt me all you want. It's always fun conversing with you rather than just talking to you.
All right.
But, yeah, I don't really actually have much to say about the ACC stuff because, my opinion is nothing in the ACC can really happen in terms of movement until they get this CFP situation handled. Because any movement from there to the Big Ten or SEC means all the schools that are currently in those conferences get paid less on the CFP payment. So I'm still of the opinion that it's all coming down to what's going on out west right now. But it is interesting to see any type of preparation happening in the ACC for when that time comes.
Yeah.
In terms of the Gonzaga stuff, I'm kind of the opinion that this is just like before. I mean, it's an easy way to talk about the subject. They're almost like code words. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
You can use them. You can talk about them. And in this case, you can even do full due diligence on them. Travel. Especially since they're saying all sports. I don't think they were ever talked about all sports. It was just like basketball with the other sports.
They did, but it was shut down months and months and months ago.
Okay. Because if they're doing all sports, including football, well, then you're doing all your due diligence for travel costs and pricing and, all this stuff. That could basically be used for Oregon State and Washington State to a large degree. Should that situation just come about here real quick. With this mediation going on, I've been really looking into that close. That's interesting. I don't know. Did you see the firm that's going to be doing the mediating?
No, I did not.
We got that information. Mr. Bob Thompson shared that.
Okay. Well, can you?
Do you want me to?
Yeah. Are you able to say it or?
I'm able to find it. I tweeted about it.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna write it down here. I'm all ready.
Okay, so it is, I'm pulling up the link right now. Phillips ADR.
Phillips?
Phillips with an S. Phillips. Yep.
Phillips? What was the rest of
ADR.
it? Hello.
Yeah, what'd you have?
No, Phillips. What was the name of it again?
Phillips, Phillips.
Yep.
And then after that, it's just ADR.
AZR. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And kind of did some work on seeing what they've done. And it's, wow, these guys have done a lot of work. So I don't think you bring in these folks unless you actually mean to get somewhere with mediation. It's an extensive list. Let's see here where I got this.
ADR. Okay.
But anyway, so I think that they're saying that that's already been happening this month. It's been going on since the 3rd.
Okay.
And it's expected to kind of go throughout the entire month. There were University of Washington, they filed motion to intervene, which is interesting. It's basically sounding like them and all the other 9 schools are supporting them in this, which kind of sounds like they don't think Kliavkoff is representing them anymore either. Otherwise, since he's the other party in this, they would think there would be no motion to intervene because you're being represented by him. So they're saying we're separate.
Yes.
Like they're saying with this that they're not part of the PAC, which is kind of saying we've left the PAC, right?
Yeah. Washington's saying that there's no party representing us right now.
Right.
Seems to be an indication that they're no longer part of the PAC. Yeah.
Yeah, because the PAC's the party in the lawsuit. So I think that there could be something resolved through this mediation. And I think that then leads to these 2 schools being, shall we say, open and available.
And momentarily richer, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to split the credit money.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get everything on the $60 million. And if this goes through and there's some, big overarching agreement to get them into the Big 12, they're not going to then get the money that we speculated on, which is the big time future payouts of 24 or 25. So it's leveraging that to get a long-term position. But if that doesn't happen, then yeah, that means we'll see where it goes. But I think that the agreement would be to split the money and for them to get something to get out of the PAC so they can close it down. But we'll see. But that could be this month. And the fact that could happen during the season is pretty wild. Is that where you think that would go, or would you think it would be a little bit?
No, I'm with you on that. I think there's going to be a resolution, and I don't think but it could take a few more months. But I would bet against this thing going to trial. So
yeah, because the next stage of that is in November, early November. So
yeah,
I tend to think that either the mediation will be resolved or it will have failed by the end of this month. So we'll have some word. But the list of notable settlements on this firm is too long for me to even really repeat to you without it just being droning and boring to your audience. But when you look at it, when you get in there and you look at them and you see what they've done, I think you'll come to the same conclusion that everyone involved in this wants to get this ended. So
yeah, I'm going to take a look at them. Phillips ADR.
I think it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, as far as the ACC thing, I think they're just sitting there waiting. I don't know. Do you think that they could potentially move before the PAC, or do you think that it has to kind of wait for that to get resolved as well.
I don't think any ACC school is moving for. I mean, no, it's going to be actual movement's going to happen way after what happens in the PAC.
Yeah,
the next part of the ACC story is school or schools announcing their intentions to want to reach a settlement with the ACC. That's the next part. I believe that. Been told that. Believe that. I do. I'm getting comments here. You know, I know people are trying to parse what I said, trying to figure out what I said, and I don't blame them. I didn't give you a whole lot. I can't give you any more. But I want to make sure, like Stephen McNeely said here. First of all, can you hold on a second, Immaculate? Yeah. I just want to get to this super chat. Fake Tom Osborne. Good to see you again, Greg. I've been recovering from Nebraska's week 1 loss. I do think we'll go bowling, though. I trust rules process. Who's your pick for Michigan State and Northwestern new coaches? I don't know about Northwestern, but Michigan State hot board 2.0. We've got Jake Dickert, the coach of Washington State, number 1 on the board for the Spartans. We'll see what happens on our 3.0 board, but that's who we believe at this point. Thank you so much for your generosity, Fake Tom Osborne. I do appreciate it. It's how we keep the lights on. PATC's generosity. There's a comment here. Immaculate, while I have you on. My wink and a nod. Here's one of the many comments. Stephen McNeely. Greg hinted at ACC maybe trying to join the Big Ten in hockey. There is, my wink and a nod is not that an ACC school is going to join the Big Ten Conference in hockey anytime soon, because it takes a while for an ACHA club school team. It's not like there's going to be an ACC school joining the Big Ten men's hockey conference, or a women's program going to Division I and getting into the WCHA women's conference, and potentially that turns into a Big Ten women's conference. This is a bigger story that's going to be played out, and it's going to be something that could pop, probably will pop, years down the road. Not too many years down the road, but more than a year or two down the road. This isn't a school joining the Big Ten in hockey. This is a school putting down flowers at the feet of Tony Petiti and say, yeah, you know what? Big Ten, we've got affinity for the Big Ten. Big Ten's our target, and I'm not going to go any further than that. It's a much bigger story than Big Ten hockey, which is a big story for us hockey fans in Minnesota. It's a bigger thing than that. So I'll leave it at that. Again, Immaculate, the floor is yours. I promise I would not interrupt you. And once again, I lied to the hot guy. Go ahead, sir.
When it comes to the Hawkeyes, I got a really bad feeling about them too. I don't know.
I got a bad feeling. Yeah.
I think that 5-1's about to get flipped to 1-5.
Well, I don't know.
But as far as the rest of it, I don't know what much more I got. I've just been talking to some folks today, and I kind of just think the Gonzaga story is Yormark preparing the room. A lot of what we heard previously was Big 12's closed for business. We're all done. Even though some people are trying to say that this story's been continuous, it's not. When he said when Yormark got the 4, He said that pretty much ended business, and that was his dream one, and so UConn and Gonzaga weren't going to happen.
Yeah, you are correct.
It's very much another story. I mean, it's the same school, but it's a different story. And it just kind of feels like he's warming the room up again to it, right? Like they just got out of all of that. We've read the after story about how wild it was for the presidents and ADs. You know, they didn't know until almost the last minute that they were actually going to get those schools. So I'm sure it was a bit stressful. And now he seems like he's trying to warm them up again. Like, hey, we're back at it again. Does that make much sense to you?
Yeah, I we're back at it again, but in the early morning hours when I did the episode, when I got alerted to the story, and we did the episode early in the morning, when I got it confirmed that this was actually happening, not just based upon Seth Davis reporting, but others, I was also told that the Washington State, Oregon State thing, there's still nothing going on. No talks, nothing. So could that change? Yes, it could. But it's not part of this umbrella.
Lawsuit, though, right? Like,
What was that?
You can't really bring up, any talk about having them join if they're in a lawsuit, number one.
Yep.
Number two, the Big 12 isn't going to bring in Oregon State and Washington State just to bring in Oregon and Washington State. Even if it means if they're getting full pro rata and everything, like they're going to have to be offered something as a conference. Yormark is not running a charity case here. If he knows that this is holding up business, it's holding up CFP business, he'd be foolish to not get something else for making this happen if it happens. So to say, yep, we're not talking about it yet. Nope, we're not talking about it yet. It's give us more. Nope, nope, we're not doing it until you give us this. That's what I would do if I was him. Like, if he wants basketball schools earlier than later, maybe that's it. If he wants to grease the wheels for ACC schools to join later, maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not in his mind.
Yep.
But
you bring up a good point. Yep.
That's what I would be doing publicly, saying, nope, we're not talking about them. We're not interested. That could change in a moment, or they could actually be talking about them. It doesn't matter. That's the public-facing projection that they're putting out. So the fact that he's saying that Gonzaga is being talked about now, well, you're talking about the Pacific Northwest. You're going to be doing all the work to look into that. You're saying all sports. It basically means the Big 12 is open for business, but it kind of sounds like they still need to be made an offer that's too good to refuse. My opinion.
Sounds good. It sounds absolutely logical, and you are either onto something or you're on something, Immaculate. But
tell me that. You remember what it was about?
Huh?
The last time you said that to me, do you remember what it was about?
No, I don't.
It was about the ACC.
You're right. I say the same thing over and over again. I got the same lines over and over again.
But you've only said that to me once before, and that was when I was telling you watch the ACC. That something's coming out of there.
There you go.
So,
all right.
Appreciate it, man. Always good talking to you. Got some other people ready to jump on with you, man.
Thanks for calling. You guys got a show tonight, or what's going on?
Not tonight. Tomorrow. We were thinking about maybe jumping in, maybe trying out some Twitter Spaces and whatnot, but I think it's just getting a little too late. So tomorrow night we'll be diving into this.
Got it. Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for the call.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, there's another comment here talking about it's being, the skates that were delivered and dropped off at Tony Petitti's feet in the 6th row of the Holy Smokes Theater in the ACC drama during Act 3 is not the skates from Notre Dame. Notre Dame's already in the Big Ten hockey, men's hockey conference. Anyways, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. We've talked about tonight the Gonzaga story. Deep talks with the Big 12 could be resolved in a week or two. It all could be done. The Gonzaga could be joining the Big 12 in all their sports by next year. This has been going on. The talks have been going on. It's been confirmed. And then we have the big story of the Pac-12, an internal battle, mediation between Oregon State, Washington State versus the other schools in the Pac-12, or they were in the Pac-12. They're leaving the Pac-12 next year. Where is that going to go? I think there's going to be some sort of settlement, negotiations before it gets to trial. Let me know what you think.
Call from
JD.
JD is on the line. Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
Hey, sir, you're killing me here.
I'm killing you. That's what I do. Did I rip on Florida State? I haven't ripped on Florida State tonight yet.
Sir?
I haven't ripped on the Seminoles yet tonight.
No.
I've ripped on my Gophers, but not Seminoles.
Well, we're okay right now.
Yeah, you are.
There's really not a whole lot to rip on us.
Yes, you are.
You know, you do a rewatch on the game the other day, and we were a little disappointed we didn't score more points. But then you realize, well, they were just trying to run the football. They were just trying to reestablish the running game. So they were more than happy to just get the game, done and over with. But well, let me ask you for a little clarification. I know you can't elaborate too much. Are the skates something specific to hockey or no?
Yes, specific to hockey, but a bigger lens than just joining the Big Ten in hockey.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I wanted some clarification on that, and so.
Yep. No problem. And I'm sorry I can't give more. It's absolutely impossible.
Okay.
And when people,
okay.
it will all be explanatory when it's all said and done. Just like the Colorado story, meeting the Big 12 on May 7th, when 99% of the reporters didn't have that info. It will play itself out.
Okay.
I'll let you know more when I can.
Okay. Well, on our end, it's crickets. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is nobody is – I mean, it's like the insiders have just gone on vacation, and which makes you wonder if something's about to pop because, a couple of them did say that when something was coming, they weren't going to, when the big announcements were coming, they weren't going to tip anybody off. They were going to let FSU do the talking themselves. Now, I don't know. Does that mean there's supposed to be something happening in October? I don't know. There's been some more speculation that everything's already been arranged. And, as far as decisions have been made on the path moving forward, there's not much more to decide. And, but anyway, I'm being redundant to our previous phone calls and everything else. One question about Miami.
Yes.
Do you see Miami being that desirable to the Big Ten? Because this is a Florida State fan. You probably think this is just fan conversation. But they are a declining program. They have advantages. They have things that you would suggest that they would be worthwhile or be desirable by the Big Ten, but they don't get great viewership numbers anymore. They can't get 10, 15,000 people to go to even big games. I mean, big games, you might get 20 there. And they're never going to have an on-campus stadium. They don't have any real estate available for an on-campus stadium. And you have a lot of their fan base. Again, they're not even in Miami, and they just don't go to the games. This was something that I almost, elaborated on previous conversations. If Miami gets an opportunity to leave right now, they better take it, because 5 years from now, I don't think they'll be worth it. And I'm not so sure they're worth it now. Anyway, just looking for your opinion on that.
My opinion would be Miami of Florida, unlike Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and possibly another one or two schools. I don't think Miami of Florida, they are desirable to the Big Ten, but they don't control their own destiny to the Big Ten.
Okay.
They're not as valued as Florida State. And I'm not saying that because you're on the call. I'm not saying that because Florida State right now has a better football, more win, that Florida State is more valuable to than Miami, Florida, to the Big Ten and to the SEC and to the ACC and whatever, right? But if Florida State would go to the SEC and Clemson goes to the SEC, oh yeah, Miami, Florida would be desirable to the Big Ten. That market, yes, it does not have, there isn't that fan intensity, no question about it. The brand has suffered, no question about it. The facilities is not up to stuff, there's no question about it. But they would still be desirable to the Big Ten, especially if you connect them with, let's say, a Notre Dame or another, like a North Carolina, whatever. They would still be desirable. But I would say they do not control their own destiny in this situation, like a Florida State.
And I see that, and I'm not talking about it from a fan perspective. It's just you look at their viewership numbers, their lack of attendance.
Yep.
Yeah, they have some billionaire donors and so on now. Some of them. The one in question is in trouble.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But
yes.
I'm sorry.
And there is. Look, I know you haven't been watching me for too long, but I have been a massive proponent, and people in the chat can tell you this is the case. Mr. Daniel Montcastle in the chat can tell you this case. For years and years and years and years, I have said over and over and over again, even with all the arrows stuck in my back, the Big Ten, about when it comes to AAU universities, it's not a prerequisite. It's not only AAU schools. Notre Dame was not the only exception when they were non-AAU schools. It wasn't. It was first, but not only, when it comes to the Big Ten targeting certain universities. The AAU status, the AAU does not have a veto over the invitation list of the Big Ten. All the AAU status means is shorthand. They're a really good research university. Therefore, the Big Ten could be potentially interested in said university. Having said all of that, Miami, Florida becoming AAU, Notre Dame becoming AAU, the votes that had to be generated in that private club, look, a lot of Big Ten universities voted for Miami of Florida to become AAU. So there is, even everything you said is correct. But the short answer is they are desirable. They would be a target, but not ahead of Florida State, not ahead of North Carolina, not ahead, I believe, even a couple other schools, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but they would be desirable in a certain situation.
I got you, and I can see that.
Yep.
I definitely do. But well, anyway, I appreciate it. I just wanted to get a little clarification and just, see if the skates was a metaphor for something else. But no,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Thank
So
you,
now
sir.
You'll have me up the rest of the night trying to solve the riddle. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
you got
my
it, buddy.
Braves won, so at least I can watch highlights from that. So there we go.
Got it.
But have a good night, sir.
You
Thank
too, sir. Thank you, JD. Mr. Seminole, PATC Seminole. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Thanks for everybody who's joined us tonight. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Once you subscribe to the channel, you can hit that notification bell. You get notified anytime we come on live. And our episodes are dropping pretty much daily. Not quite daily, but pretty much daily. Fake Tom Osborne, thanks again for your super chat. I appreciate it. Greg's been saying that about the AAU status since I went for 2 against Miami in 1984. Yeah, Notre Dame hasn't been the only exception when they were non-AAU schools. And to prove that, Michigan State became a full-fledged member of the Big Ten Conference. 8 years, something like 8 years before the Michigan State Spartans became an AAU university. So, for those who say that Florida State can't possibly become a Big Ten member before they became AAU, I would say that's false. It's false. What can I say? If Texas and Oklahoma both called Kevin Warren instead of Greg Sankey, Oklahoma would be a Big Ten member, even though they're not AAU.
Call from
Steve, Mr. Bearcat is on the line. I'm sorry I'm keeping you up late, sir. The floor is yours. I'm glad you called.
Just a couple of things to follow up on Miami Stadium. I have a friend that lives in Lauderdale. He's a huge Hurricane fan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on. Tropical Park is 3 miles down the road. There's room for a stadium. Basically, the local government of Coral Gables is saying, no, that's not going to happen. Also, there's a plot of land where you can set a 45,000 seat stadium right across the street from the campus. That is all basically an abandoned strip mall with lots of parking. But to make room, there's some private properties that it would have to be purchased. Now, this is not me talking. This is what my friend who lives in the area tells me. The thing that trumps it all is Ruiz was going to basically fund the stadium. With his financial woes right now, everything is on more than hold. So that's basically what I've got from a person living in that area telling me what's going on with that stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So basically they can't get any public land because, like he says, the local government in Coral Gables is saying no. And a lot of residents in that area are saying no. And the other thing he brought up, which I guess never occurred to me, is Miami doesn't have a huge alumni base because their enrollment's been so small forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that is, that's the thing that hurts them a little bit. My friend did bring up a point, and he said one of the things that they would have going for them if they ever got into the Big Ten was all the transplanted Midwesterners in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would attend games when Minnesota plays there, Ohio State
Yeah.
plays there, or Michigan plays there. You know, that would help.
Yes,
but,
sir. Yeah.
That's basically, and I'm not trying to trump what, I'm sorry, his name's JD or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
I'm not trying to trump him. This is
No.
just information
Yep.
that
Yep.
I've received.
Yeah.
That there are two places, but you know, there's obviously a lot of red tape for them to get through. And when you're fighting with the local government and the local residents, it's going to be a tough road to hoe for them.
Yeah.
So, other than that, Greg, I'm trying to put the pieces together of what you told us, and I'm still saying Notre Dame's going to the Big Ten and bringing somebody else with them.
You got it. You've been saying
All
that
right.
for a long time, sir.
I have.
Yeah.
I just believe that.
Yeah.
So, all right, my
All
friend.
right, sir.
Just
Great
wanted to,
call. Thank you,
just
sir.
wanted to jump in with that Miami University.
You got it. Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Mr. Bearcat. Mr. Bearcat saying it like it is. So tonight we've gone through some stories here as we wait for more phone calls. Gonzaga and the Big 12 have resumed top-level discussions about the possibility of school joining the conference in all sports, perhaps as early as next year, multiple sources told the Messenger. Holy smokes. And then with that, Dennis Dodd, he comes out and says Gonzaga is a surprising fifth on metric called, quote, TV power, unquote, per its consultant. It sits behind, per the Big 12 consultants, Big 12 conference, it sits behind Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, but ahead of the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, the Spartans, the Hogs, and the Volunteers. This is data. Remember in that article, in the John Wilner article, it said that Brett Yormark has provided data in presentations in two separate groups to the Big 12 presidents and to the Big 12 athletic directors. He's done it. And this stuff is leaking out. And again, people are going to say, oh, Dennis Dodd, he's just trying to say this or that because of his own whatever reason. Oh, Brett McMurphy, who confirmed the story of Seth Davis. Oh, Seth Davis is... Look, I don't know how to say this. Well, I know what, I'm not going to say it. Let me put it this way. There were people who wanted it known that the Big 12 and Gonzaga were having these serious talks at this time. There it is. I mean, this stuff, when Seth Davis put this out there, people checked and they confirmed it immediately that this was happening. TV power. I've said this before, and I'm going to always say this in this college football peek around the corner YouTube channel. The networks, when it's to their advantage, listen to me now, PATC community. The networks, when it's to their advantage, they spill the beans. They spill the beans all over the place. That's why for months and weeks and months, I mean, week after week after week after week, I had to report the same stuff to you that it didn't look good for the Pac-12 because it was all negative. They weren't real numbers that were presented to the Pac-12 presidents. Remember that? Day in, day out, day in, day out. People went after me saying, oh, Greg's part of the Endeavor plot. Oh, this guy, why would it? I'm sorry, but that's the information we were given day in, day out, day in, day out. Who do you think was leaking this information? The networks. And there's relationships built, connected over years, over decades. And nobody wants to lose their credibility. Nobody's trying to be involved in a plot and all this other crap that was told out there on Twitter and message boards. Same thing here. Much smaller scale, but people were able to confirm the story pretty quickly. Fox Sports wants this to happen. They might not be able to get it to happen, but it looks like they will. That the train is on the tracks. That's why you got the Dennis Dodd tweet out there. And then we talked about big Pac-12 legal affairs with the court date looming. Parties agree to mediation. That doesn't mean there's going to be a settlement, but I think there's going to be some kind of settlement. That's what I believe. We shall see. And then we talked about, well, back in 2015, BTM, his associates, gave me some information, and I put it out there. It's very difficult to imagine, but according to source, Delaney is again going down Notre Dame's rabbit hole to try to bring Notre Dame's hockey to the Big Ten. When I put it out there, nobody had this. Nobody had this information. Nobody thought that Notre Dame would join the Big Ten in the hockey conference when they're part of the ACC, when they've said no to the Big Ten to become a full-time member year in, year out, year in, decade out. I put it out there because we had the story, and then months later, March 23rd, 2016, it became official. Notre Dame men's hockey team joined the Big Ten Conference. I'm bringing that up now because we have people located, we have people in the correct perches, we have people who know that they're, well, I cannot say the full story, but somebody ran into the Holy Smokes Theater with a mask on and dumped off a pair of skates at the feet of Tony Petiti, who's sitting in the 6th row, sitting next to NBC. That's as far as I can push the story for tonight. Take it as you will. Take it as you will. So I think we're going to close down our live show tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming on in. We had to do it. I'm a little bit under the weather, but we had to do this show. So much going on. And I think the rest of this week is going to get interesting as well. A lot of this, it's just going to keep boiling over, percolating. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. As later on this week, we're going to dive into Week 7 college football games. It's a big weekend of games, big slate. Holy smokes. Conference races are starting to form all over the Power 5 conferences and the G5 conferences. It's an exciting time in college football. It's a wacky time in the college football landscape. So stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Before you leave, please subscribe, smash that like button, and share the video with your family and friends. This has been College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. Until next time, From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.